haven't done anything. I'm not really productive today. Very usual of me. This vlog is going to be about top 5 books that you should read this escapist season, considering that April is a National Writing Month. As you all know, I write, or maybe you don't know because you don't know me at all, and I'm a very unpopular person, so you don't know that I write. I also love reading stuff, so I'm going to recommend top 5 books that I read last year. Some books that BOOKTOK recommended. Before we completely dive into our top 5 books you must read this escapril season, I'd like to take this time to introduce escapril and what it means. Escapril is kinda like a challenge that happens every April, thus the name Escapril. This challenge is being managed by Savannah Brown, who is an author herself. Escapril is a challenge where you have to write a poem or any kinds of writings, really. And every day there's a specific prompt or topic that you'll have to write about. And you'll have to do this every day. It is about breaking the writer's block that happens in us writers when you're feeling unmotivated to write. It is a challenge to let the creative juices flow and for us writers not to be stuck in a hole of procrastination. Without further ado, let's get into our top 5 books that you must read this escapril season. Number 1 on my list is Richard Siken's Crush. The very first moment I read Crush, I instantly fell in love with it. Like, the whole book is not straightforward, but it's kind of explicit. It's very expressive. I don't want to say that it's straightforward, but you're not really like in a guessing game. But I really like it. I like that it's very expressive. I like how verses and the words have been chosen by Richard. So it's totally great, especially if you're into books about expressing affection, expressing obsession. So I absolutely like it that it's really expressive and it's kind of straightforward, but I like that every poem's how it flows. It's very direct and full of emotion, so I really like Richard Siken's Crush. I've been reading it again a few months ago, although I read it already last year. Crush. It's kind of direct, yeah, but it's kind of like in an obsessive way, if that makes sense. So it's really beautiful. It's kind of explicit. I would rate it for 4 or 4.5 over 5. Yeah. Next on our list is Lewis Gluck's Averno, and I don't know what to say. It's perfectly written. I mean, nothing is perfect. I love Lewis Gluck. Like, she's one of my inspiration when it comes to writing. I love her writing style. I love the way she writes. I instantly fall in love with it. It's also expressive. Lewis Gluck's poems are very much perfect for you if you're kind of like experimental. If you're experimenting your writing style, Lewis Gluck's Averno is perfect for you. I love how Lewis is very direct when it comes to sadness. Averno is one of the very first book that I read by Lewis Gluck, so I instantly fell in love with it. One of the very first poetry that I read by Lewis Gluck is Anniversary. I was absolutely sad with the way the poem flowed. I don't want to say that's direct or straightforward, but it evokes a lot of emotions, if that makes sense. I've been reading Lewis Gluck's piece or poems in poetryfoundation.com, so if you're into poetry so much, you're into literature, or if you're into poetry and you don't have enough budget or enough money to buy a poetry book, or if you don't have any resources to borrow a poetry book, or if you don't have any near libraries in your vicinity or in your surroundings, if you don't have any libraries near your home, poetryfoundation.com is very much perfect for you because they store this large variety of poems from different writers, and it stores different kinds of poetry, different styles, different writing styles. So if you're looking for inspirations or if you're looking for resources, poetryfoundation.com is very much perfect for you. And that's when I fell in love with Louise Clark, because she's one of my inspiration when it comes to writing. I love that she's very much expressive with negative emotions, or when it comes to sadness and stuff like that. So Louise Clark, if you're watching this, you're the girl. Next, our third book recommendation, again, a poetry. It's called Mouthful of Forevers by Clementine von Radix. I haven't finished this book yet. It's very beautiful. It's very inspiring. It has lots of ups and downs, like the book itself, which I absolutely like because it shows what life is. It's sad, it's joyous, but sometimes you will have this very low moments in your life, which is something that I like with Clementine, like the way she wrote. The book itself, if I'm going to compare it, it's kind of like a yin and yang, because it expresses happiness and it expresses reality. It's the reality of life. It's a poetry, but it's very simple, it's kind of straightforward, but it touches your heart. I love the fact that Clementine explores the reality of life, the ups and downs. I love how everything flows in each piece in the book. If you're looking for a book that is realistic, that is easily understood, Clementine's Mouthful of Forevers is perfect for you because it will touch your heart. I love that it's very inspirational. You will see how she sees the world. It's thoroughly explained. Fourth book recommendation is from BOOKTOK, and I haven't read this book yet. It's called It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I've read Colleen Hoover's Ugly Love, but I haven't read this one yet. But it's very on trend on TikTok. They're crying about it. They're literally crying about it.
Here's me finishing It Ends With Us. I've never cried for so long after a book.
So I'm gonna read it. For those of you who don't want to Google it, I'm going to recite the whole summary. So here's the summary. It Ends With Us is a book that follows a girl named Lily who had just moved and is ready to start her life after college. Lily then meets a guy named Ryle and she falls for him. That sounds okay. Colleen Hoover is known for romance books or kind of like an adult fiction or young adult fiction, if I'm correct, because I read Ugly Love. So, okay. Oh. As she is developing feelings for Ryle, at last, her first love reappears and challenges the relationship between Lily and Ryle. It's kind of like exciting. You might want to read it because it's a BOOKTOK recommendation. Everyone's kind of like reading it on BOOKTOK. Everyone's recommending it and it's kind of like on trend. So I might read it. The summary itself is very interesting and it talks about two guys fighting for girls' affection, kind of like that. So it's kind of exciting and that's why I'm recommending it, because everyone's crying about it. I think I have to be mentally and emotionally prepared if I'm going to read it, because not really a big fan of books that makes me cry. But yeah, it's by Colleen Hoover, so I'm going to try it, so you should try it too. And our fifth book, of course, Colleen Hoover, Ugly Love, because it's one of my favorite, not just because of the characters, but how everything flowed. And okay, I'm going to read the summary. Tate Collins forms an undeniable mutual attraction with airline pilot Miles Archer. I'm so sorry, this is kind of... And the pair attempt to define a set of rules that will prevent them from falling in love. When Tate Collins meets airline pilot Miles Archer, she knows it isn't love at first sight. Yeah, okay, let me just tell you guys, it's kind of like a friends with benefits two characters being, just friends, and they, you know what happens. They fall in love. But the guy himself, he doesn't want to be attached to the girl because he has something. Okay, he has a. I don't want to get into that spoiler but yeah, he doesn't want to fall in love with her, and she's kind of falling for him. So that's the exciting part. Okay, that's the exciting part. You should go read it now. You might want to try her other books because it's not just Ugly Love or It Ends With Us. She has lots of beautiful books. Yeah, I guess that's it. Bonus. It is an essay by Mary Oliver, Upstream. It's very heartwarming. I must say that the very first moment I read Upstream, like I wanted to be Mary Oliver just for a day and write like that. Aside from the fact that it's an essay, it's easily understood by people. It's very warm. Like if you're going to compare it to a thing, I would compare it to a bonfire. Reading Mary Oliver's Upstream is kind of like talking to a friend. It's very warm, it's very lighthearted. There was this moment when I wanted to be Mary Oliver just for a day because I absolutely love Upstream so much. I wish I could write like that. Like I wish I could write that kind of poetry. I wish I could write an optimistic poem. So I love Mary Oliver for that. It's very warm. It's not a poetry. It's not a novel. It's an essay. If you're into poetry or literature, go ahead and check those books out. And let me know if you have any book talk recommendations as well, or if you have any poetry books recommendations. Comment down below, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye!